everybody. Welcome to CONFAB with PRIYAA ARYA, and here we have amazing guest, the handsome Colonel Rohit Mishra, Lieutenant Colonel Rohit Mishra, and the very pretty educationist Shilpi Mitchell. Hello, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. So, giving a little intro about both of you, Lieutenant Colonel Rohit Mishra is the ex-army man. Now he's into he's into a mission fight back, which is a women empowerment organization. He's going to talk a lot about it going ahead, what he does, how he does it, how he empowers the women. Okay, and Shilpi, she has been an educationist from the longest and a social activist who works in the field of women empowerment again. So if you're talking about domestic violence, we need a lot of empowerment here, and what the real meaning of empowerment is. Is it all about sympathies, or is it about combating the fear within? So, heading towards you, Colonel Rohit Mishra, tell me, tell me a little more about what Mission Fightback does, and what is your opinion regarding domestic violence that has taken a steep. The numbers have really increased in this lockdown. So, what is your viewpoint on the entire thing?
Okay, to begin with, Mission Fight Back is, as of today, one of the most holistic program in the world, which caters to the safety of the girl child and women. So we are not just about self-defense or street survival. We are about a very holistic way getting women and children to actually have self-confidence to stand up for themselves. Right? That
Mhm.
said, now bringing it in the context of what is happening today, you mentioned domestic violence in the period of lockdown.
Hmm.
What we need to understand is why is this domestic violence which has suddenly seen a sudden steep increase. The domestic violence has always been there for donkey's years. For centuries, it's always been there, right?
Hmm.
But all of a sudden, this is for probably for the first time during modern days we have actually seen that the whole families are closeted in or confined to a room or a house. Nobody's moving out because the epidemic's on. There is a general atmosphere of scare, and people are scared. So there is basically a general atmosphere of uncertainty. Now, what happens when there is uncertainty? The moment there is uncertainty, the first thing that comes to your mind is fear,
Hmm.
self-preservation, and self-preservation and fear actually always leads to irritation and anger because you do not have control over certain things. You do not have control over the virus.
Hmm.
The next uncertainty that gets you angry is the uncertainty or the economic uncertainty because people right now do not know whether they'll actually, once the lockdown is over, whether they'll get the jobs back,
Hmm.
not get the jobs back. That could be anybody, right from the guy who gets you your pizza to
Hmm.
the multinational corporation or the person who's sitting right at the head of a multinational corporation. So yes,
Hmm.
generally there is an air of uncertainty, and the moment there is more uncertainty, it's further
Hmm.
going to lead to anger, right?
Hmm.
So when there is anger, uncertainty, economic issues, poverty issues, all these issues combined together, it
Hmm.
has to come out on something. On a normal, usual day, what
Hmm.
happens when a man goes to the office? The boss yells at him. He comes back and he takes it out on the weak. You have
Hmm.
to remember that violence always takes place on the weak. It's never on the strong,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Uh, if you talk in context of wars, America and Russia, right from Cold War days or before and after, they'll keep talking to each other. They'll have a eyeball to eyeball confrontation, but they'll never actually get into war. But who will they get into war with? Always the smaller nations because they're
Correct.
weaker, right?
Correct.
That is exactly how it plays out when it comes to human psychology at the end of the day. A man
Hmm.
gets bothered or he's irritated back in office, he comes back, takes it out on the women and children because he knows there's going to be no retaliation. Nobody's going to hit him back. And
Hmm.
what I keep saying, I don't think anybody would want to take a panga with a man like me who's like 6 foot and trained. Whereas the best thing to do is take it out, even on during road rage. The moment there's a road rage, the first thing that you see is who's the person getting out of the car. Your
Hmm.
tone also changes because of that. In case of the man is tall, gut sick, you'll say, "Bhai sahab, okay, galti ho gayi, nikal lo," right? But in case of it's somebody, puny, you'd want to mount on him. So, see, these are the things. And then the next problem is there is no escape route. Where is the window of escape for women or children right now? So normally now they can't make a phone call, even if they want to run over to the neighbors or they want to run over to their families for support
Mm.
and help. Though in India, mostly the families are of no use because they don't really help.
Mm.
But it's still a getaway.
They brush it aside.
Yeah, they just brush it aside. But still, at least the woman just wants to go there, talk it out, and come back. Right now, she can't even do that. So that solace is also not there. So when all these things combine together, be it social, be it economic, or be it the escape window, everything, plus there is nothing else to do. There is a very big aspect of it is a physical aspect of it. There is this case which had come up a couple of days back when I was in another show where one of the psychologists was actually telling me that is a particular gentleman who is from a well-to-do family. I mean, he is a jeweler in Mumbai, and he is demanding sex from his wife. And probably, a man has a girlfriend, and all of a sudden he suddenly finds himself in the confines of his house with his
Locked
wife.
up.
He's locked up with his wife, and now he can't go and meet his girlfriend. So now everything is actually coming out on the wife, and the wife refused. So what did he
Mm.
start doing? He actually started burning his daughter, a teenage daughter, with cigarette butts, demanding sex from her. And this is biological father to a biological daughter. If you have that kind of demented society now, you'll have more and more cases coming out. This is just the beginning. And the WHO says the virus is here to stay. So are these problems. What the government probably will need to do after this is actually try to find out the number of suicides, the number of cases where there's depression, the number of cases where there's been child abuse. So all of these things combined together. So this is what I feel. That's probably one of the reasons that domestic violence is increasing, because people do not have anything else to do right now. So they have to vent out their anger on somebody. So that is it.
Mm. Okay. Another point that I wanted to add to this was the strength aspect. I would first like Shilpi to talk about as a woman. There is this one guy who is the ex-major who's talking about women and everything. It is amazing. But then, as a woman, what do you suggest if you are in a relationship where there's violence? Because most of the cases, violence happens for a certain while, for a short while. The next day, the husband is probably showering gifts and showering flowers, and the woman just gives up. Ki, Acha, theek hai na, kal hua tha, now he's okay. How do you suggest as a woman, a woman can combat this or stop it?
I feel that basically what comes into play is, first of all, domestic violence. We are looking at, most of us look at it in the narrowest of senses, right? We think it's either sexual, or if somebody slaps someone or punches someone or shoves someone,
Hmm.
but it is actually a play on fear. So the very first step in creating violence, in going ahead with violence against your intimate partner or spouse, is
Hmm.
creation of fear. So this is the key element of domestic violence, I feel. And this is because the perpetrator, the spouse or the husband, as Rohit said, they are frustrated, they are angry, and they need to feel that manliness,
The power. Yeah.
the power, the
Ah.
control that they need to, they need to sort of control people around them. And the most easy person to do that to is your spouse, is your wife. So basically,
Why?
there
My
are a
question
lot
is
of
why?
controlling type. I think it is. I mean, though Rohit would be a better person to think from, but from what I understand, that men need a lot of reassurance, a lot of from themselves. Like they need to feel that they are above. We raise our sons with the idea of entitlement, and if we go into that aspect of the domestic violence, we'll have to go all the way back to how our sons are raised and how our daughters, as we said, they are told to compromise. जाने दो, we brush it aside. अरे कुछ नहीं यार, एक थप्पड़ ही तो मारा, क्या हुआ, कुछ नहीं. अरे आदमी तो ऐसे ही होते हैं, घर कैसे चलाओगी if you are going to react so much. So it goes back, way back. to how our society on the whole is, wired. And the basic step, I feel, in if the perpetrator needs to instill fear in the person, therefore they go into social abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, spiritual abuse, and physical abuse, though, is a manifestation of all these abuses. It's the end result which the third party can also see. So we are talking about violence at so many levels where we are controlled. You're such a bad mother. Oh, you're a worthless person. You think you work, you're bringing money in so you can do whatever you want? Whom are you talking to? How long are you going to keep talking to your friends? Why is your friend calling it? So these are all basically, you are psyching the person into, losing confidence, losing uh, losing self-worth. And this is so rampant. Very educated people who tinkle their diamond jewelries and wear Armanis, even they behave like that. The perpetrators are very well educated people from the best of homes, and the wives who look all decked up and pretty and so confident, they are victims too. Therefore, I really don't know, as a woman, I would probably take the bully by its horns. And the only thing I think is only thing that works is if you stand up to the bully. The more you cower down, I think they feel more empowered. They are enabled to do this to you. Therefore, women have to first realize what is abuse, where the lines are being crossed, and then they need to really stand up and, sort of face this confidently. And that's what Rohit teaches.
Yes. Domestic violence is a form of bullying, and the worst form of bullying because your predator is right at home, right there, where with the social baggages, where you are supposed to do something, you're not supposed to do something, and you've been taught from the beginning, as Shilpi said, that women are the ones who make the house a home. Women have more responsibility on their shoulders to run a home. All of that put together. Now, how much guilt as a factor in domestic violence? Rohit, I'm coming to you. How is guilt used against? Now, if we think about, if we don't make it gender bias for some time we say domestic violence is also happening with the men. All right, there are many. Now, when we see pictures of women standing with Balan and all of that, we don't we don't even, we just laugh it out, ha ha ha. But if we see a man with a belt in his hand, we might react very badly to it. So, unfortunately, domestic violence, when it's coming to men, is not even reported and is just laughed at. So, it can be either which ways, either men or women who are in a violent relationship with a violent spouse. How is guilt used against them? Rohit, coming on to you.
See, I always take it as a battle or a war, right? And all battles and wars are fought with weapons.
Hmm.
So the moment you say guilt, take it, it's a
Hmm.
weapon. That's
Hmm.
the weapon that you're actually, the perpetrator is actually using against the victim.
Correct.
You know, most of the women that I have interacted with who've suffered domestic violence, they've always been actually made to believe that, she's actually got beaten up and it was her fault. Uski
Correct.
naukri chali gayi because he was incompetent, but it's her fault. Probably she didn't give him good breakfast or whatever, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Anything that happens to the man, it's always the other person's fault. And that is where the guilt comes in. So you're going to make the woman feel guilty about every small little thing. The child did not do well in the studies, it's the woman's fault. She gets beaten. Probably there is something, the food's not been cooked well, it's the woman's fault. So, right from a small little thing to every major thing, it's always the guilt, it's always the woman's fault. And there was this one incident where, there was this one lady who was actually married to a gentleman only for less than about a year's time.
Hmm.
And she's actually fought a legal case for more than 9 or 10 years. And
Hmm.
the worst part was, it is not just her husband who was making her feel guilty. The entire society makes her feel guilty. The
Hmm.
family makes her feel guilty. Because as far as the family is concerned, हमने तो अपनी बेटी भेज दी थी, ये तो पराया धन हो
Hmm.
गई,
Hmm.
right? Now why is the pariah धन coming back to me? That is the only wealth you don't want back once you've given it away, right? If that be the case, the guilt is
Huh.
going to be just about everywhere. I mean, the guilt is not just from the husband side or the perpetrator side. It is even from, the it's even from the girl's own family side. I mean, why are we just talking about married men and women? Let's talk about any relationship between a man and a woman. Be it a live-in
No, but domestic
relationship.
violence even includes children also, people who are
Yes,
in the house.
I
yeah,
want you
the
to
people in the
Let's
house.
not
look
forget.
into this comment that has come from Flynn, I think. Flynn Rider?
Flynn Rider.
Flynn
Yes.
Rider. I was just coming to what Flynn Rider
Yeah.
has said. Once
Yeah.
once I'm over and done with. So okay, I'll straight away come to what Flynn Rider is saying. No, it is.
Hmm.
It's not always that it's just the men who are at fault. But in 9 out of 10 cases, it's the men who are at fault. In the 1%, see, let's take a scale of 10. If there are 10 girls who are actually molested, how many girls do you think will actually come and report to their parents or speak up? It'll be 3 to 4. So the ratio is 30 to 40%. How many men or boys will actually come and report any kind of an abuse, including sexual abuse or
Hmm.
bullying? Zero. Because the moment it comes to men, it's all about being macho. How can you
Yeah.
actually get backed up by your wife,
Exactly.
Yeah. I,
right?
I actually
Or insulted for
believe
that
in
matter,
this.
or
Exactly.
demeaned.
And to begin with, I always said, it's always the weak, who's taken now. So in any relationship, there'll be one person who's dominating, and the one person would be a little subdued, right? Now, this dominant person could be a male or a female. Anybody who's dominating will actually dominate on the weaker one. So in most cases, of course, because it's a patriarchal society, it's the men dominating over women. And somewhere where the man is actually trying to be probably understanding, or maybe he's a little weak, or for whatever reason, the woman will dominate. That could actually even be a physical abuse. So what Flynn Rider is saying is right. It's not always the mistake of a man, but then this is what it is.
So we know a lot of stories where men have been abused by taking them to court using the law in a wrong way. Firstly, secondly, men have been abused. Otherwise, also, if you see in the colleges and all, see, when as a woman I stand up and say something, everybody listens to me. Okay, but when as a man, if you stand up and say, "Oh, I got molested by a woman," people will laugh at you.
I don't think so any man would say that.
Firstly,
Like
they
I
will
said,
not
it's a
say
narcissist. Firstly, they'll not say that.
yeah, my
Exactly.
Maradhu will finish off. And if
Yeah.
somebody even gets that guts to stand up and say that I was abused, like if you see these veggies and all that, these men, your games only are so ouch. Even in our college when we were getting ragged, women getting ragged was very different vis-a-vis how men used to be stripped naked and all of that. Playing around with the private parts and all. Poor guys have really gone through enough, and nobody had the heart to go to anybody and complain what has happened with them. Rohit has a very funny smile. What, Rohit? You start remembering what happened with you during ragging or what?
I mean, come on, have a heart. I've been through college, and then of course I've been through the army academy. You know what happens? They don't even get me started on that.
So men go through so much nonsense in their
Yeah.
own ways. All right. So rather making it okay, and I have seen men getting beaten up by their wives also. Well, and they go like, and everybody's laughing around them. Nobody is trying to stop it. Vis-a-vis, if a man stands up and slaps a woman, everybody will jump on that man and probably kill him. All right. So no,
And
I'm not
no, no,
trying
there
to
is a
say
flip side to that.
huh.
The families of men also, there is this narcissistic behavior, and then there is a lot of siding with the guy. So,
Yeah.
especially in this context, the
Hmm.
well-to-do, the people who are like, socially recognized or come from a certain section of the society, the upper strata, the family all they collude. It's like
Hmm.
you're enabling the narcissist. They all
Hmm.
stand together. Ki, no, no, no. If my son or my daughter has done that, it's probably because the other person called for it.
Hmm.
They deserve it.
Hmm.
The wrong buttons have been pushed. You know. as you said, the child is not doing well, or I've lost my job, so I am taking it out on the wife. But the wife is blamed for pushing the wrong buttons, and the entire family, the sister-in-law, the mother-in-law, the entire in-law clan will all pollute together, and they will try and side with the son. It is a very ugly face of the society, but it is there, and there is
Okay.
nowhere that you can turn.
No, we can
So,
do something
and I
about it.
think the video is private. Is it?
Huh?
The
No.
video is private.
No.
Okay.
All right. So, one second. We have a lot of people speaking up. So, all right, domestic violence is prevalent in the society, be it male, be it females. Now, because of the lockdown, it has gone up a little notch higher because of whatever frustration, be it financial, be it extramarital affairs going down, be it a sexual need. But now I am weak, so I am getting treated the way I am. I'm being beaten up because my spouse thinks I am weak, and there is no fear of consequence attached. He knows he can get away, or she knows she can get away with the treatment that is being given to me. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. So, Rohit, now in such a case, suddenly I cannot give a magic wand. We cannot give a magic wand to women and say, okay, you change now overnight, or okay, break your family, because there are so many fear factors involved when you take up law as your guidance. All right. So, Rohit had lovely
Turn to law.
yes. So, Rohit, I want you to let us know what women actually, why don't they go to the court of law? Why don't they walk out of the marriages? Why do they still stick around and take all this? What is the need? There is a definite need, the culturally embedded need of staying married. And what happens to the kids? Oh, my kids will get affected, all of that. How do we overcome the psychological aspect, firstly, to instill the fear of consequence into the predator? Firstly, how do they do it without feeling guilty?
Okay, one question at a time. Because you
How
kept
do they
saying
do
I
it
couldn't even
without
write it down. Let's start one question at a time. Yeah. Which one do you want me to answer first?
How do they do it without feeling guilty? How do they
How
take
do
help? How do they move out? How do they resurrect their life without feeling guilty?
you're talking about the women?
Women, men, whoever.
Okay,
Whoever is in a violent relationship.
so I'll come to the women first. See, this is something that I've often said, and I'll say it again. Ultimately, it's the women who'll have to stand up. It's a fight between your financial security versus your own personal safety,
Hmm.
right? You have to decide. You have to decide. I'll tell you what's happening in my family. In
Hmm.
my family, there were times when girls were actually getting married. My cousins were getting married at 19, 20. Some of
Hmm.
them have suffered, some of them, touch wood, are doing pretty well in their lives. But now
Hmm.
you would speak to any of the women, the one who have already been doing well, or who probably had a hard time during their married life, they have all decided that their daughters will not get married at an early age to begin with. They would all want their daughters educated, standing on their feet, being financially independent, and then getting married.
Hmm.
That is the first step. So everything actually starts at home.
Hmm.
Everything actually starts at home.
Hmm.
Then your next question was,
How
okay,
do
yeah.
we
So how do
do it
we, yeah,
without feeling guilty?
yeah. So then, but so this is for the women who are not married. So I'm talking futuristic. But the women who are already in a relationship and who are having a hard time, ultimately, like I said, they will have to decide what exactly is it that they need. Do they need
Hmm.
financial independence? Sorry, do they need financial security from this man and keep getting bashed up till whatever number of years?
Hmm.
Or is it that they'd like to walk out? It's like standing on the edge and just taking a leap of faith. If you fall down, you're
Hmm.
gone. But otherwise, if you get wings, you're flying. Most
Hmm.
women actually fly. You tell me
Hmm.
one case that you've actually heard that a woman actually died of poverty because she just moved out of her husband's house.
Hmm.
Has it ever happened? I mean, tell me one case. I haven't heard of any. So
No,
it's
there's
all
so many
about you.
NGOs helping around, so that's definitely not
So
good of
there,
them.
see, there are NGOs helping around. The government's wanting to help women.
Hmm.
Even even in central government, as well as the army and the defense forces now, the meaning of dependence have changed. Even widowed ladies, divorced ladies, or even separated ladies are now actually given the medical cover in case if their father was in the central this thing or the armed forces. So the government is also actually looking after women. But the only problem is how many women actually know about it. There was a case in point when you said court. Indian courts probably, I shouldn't say so, but are one of the worst. Try going to a court. Most of the women that I have spoken to, they actually think that they can be financially independent, but it's the muck that flies once they go to the court. Just try entering the Indian courts. With due apologies to lawyers and everybody who are probably there or probably who would be watching later. The entire ecosystem is, see, firstly, the moment you get in the court, it starts smelling of patriarchy. The moment a woman enters a court, everybody starts looking at her. It's like hounds looking at the rabbit, okay, to prey upon. Everybody already starts passing judgment, even without knowing the case. The moment a woman enters, divorce का case होगा, separation का case होगा, मार पिटाई का case होगा, stuff like that. How many women actually go to courts for domestic violence? I was in Lucknow about 2 years back, and I was at a police station at the SGPGI. And there was this woman who had come after getting back for 12 or 15 years by her husband. And it's only when that man for the first time had started hitting her 8 or 9-year-old son that she decided to call the police. But otherwise, for those 10, 15 years, she was getting bashed. And the police was rather telling her not to file a case against the man. They were asking her to reconcile. So she says, reconcile करने के लिए तो सभी बोलते हैं. My parents asked me to reconcile. My in-laws asked me to reconcile. My neighbors asked me to reconcile. All the aunties and uncles that I don't even know asked me to reconcile. Now, police is the last people that I would want, to be giving me the advice to reconcile. I just want justice. How long will I keep getting backed up? But the police also said there are no laws under which, or maybe in case if there are, then I should be corrected. But the thing is, for domestic violence, I don't think so. You can hold a man for more than 14 days, and then he comes back. Right?
No, no,
You can
no.
file a
If
case
it is
against him.
proven, it's this thing imprisonment up to 3 years.
On
It
the
is for
contrary,
2005.
laws are standing with the woman. If the woman
exactly,
goes
Yeah,
and files a
up to
case,
3 years
the man
imprisonment,
is guilty until
and
proven
it's
otherwise.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, and
so
that is, of
on the
course, that is another
contrary,
place
law is
where.
with the women.
But how many women actually do it?
and
You
if I
must
may
ask.
add something,
Yeah,
Priya,
please.
Huh.
uh, see, I also think that what's it that if they can walk out and what do they do with the guilt? There is a lot of social stigma, and as I said, a very basic part of domestic violence is financial abuse, where the finances are withheld by the perpetrator. Even her own money she cannot access, and the child and the woman are given pittance, ana kodi pie, literally. They have to live within inadequate means, and they are always dependent on the perpetrator. So this is basically a very psychological thing which people from the outside can't see. So women feel trapped. It's not only about the guilt, and supposing they are brave enough to deal with the stigma of calling the perpetrator out, still the financial uh, dependence is what traps her. So there was this person, Roshni Pratap Singh, who asked this question or made this statement just now. Yes, something about being financially trapped. So it's absolutely true, and I think that is the basic case in majority of the incidents.
So
Financial
how,
dependence.
see, financial independence will take some time to happen, and it will definitely not happen during the lockdown. Everybody is struggling with the finances as of
Exactly.
now. So now, as of now, in this
But
particular
as Rohit
lockdown
said,
situation, how do we expect women to help themselves or men to help themselves? Whoever is in a violent relationship, what can they do for this to stop? Or just
Stand
try
have
up.
a
to reach
conversation,
out
not think
Stand up
about
for
it.
to
themselves.
helplines, stand up
See,
for themselves,
stand up for themselves.
call
See,
the bully out.
the helplines don't really work, right? Number one. Then the second thing
Is
is
that
the
so?
police in times of lockdown. I'm talking in terms of lockdown. I'm sure they're doing a fantastic job otherwise. In times of
Lockdown.
lockdown, when the entire law and order system and everything else, the police forces, the uniformed forces, everybody is too busy fighting the coronavirus. Domestic violence is probably the last thing that they'll
Mhm.
be replying to.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
The
yeah,
the UN has asked all the governments to put women's safety as a priority. 6th April 2020. That was their direction to all the governments. The United Nations has requested, but I really don't know practically how far that is possible.
see,
It is still not
So
so
you're
practical
right.
the
as of now
see,
in the lockdown situation, as you're saying.
SM, the UN, I worked with the UN. So, I say that with a
Okay.
degree of bitterness. You know, 8th of March is actually supposed to be International Women's Day. What is it that you actually
Women's
do on
Day.
International
Yes.
Women's Day other than boring lectures, a few marches, a few drawing competitions? What is something concrete that actually comes out? Are you actually going down to the villages to help them out? I've gone down to villages. I've
Correct.
seen it's a few NGOs who are actually doing dedicated work, who are actually reaching there.
Mm.
And as far as the Women and Child Development Ministry of any state is concerned, and I've interacted with a few, I think one of the QRs there is to be totally misogynistic. If you're misogynistic, you actually get transferred to the Women and Child Development Ministry. That unfortunately is how the state of affairs are. So I think ultimately no helplines are going to help. Your neighbors are not going to help. And I had started this particular thing on social media that RWs actually need to start standing up for people. I always say that. I mean, you'll never really allow anybody with a tainted past, let's say a thief or a known person who's done any kind of a scandal or any kind of anything. I mean, or forget everything. A coronavirus patient or maybe an AIDS patient. The moment the RW comes to know ki AIDS is not a communicable disease, right? But will an RW allow an AIDS patient to be staying in the
Not
society?
very
Right? These
well.
days, we actually have the audacity to be asking people's religion before we allow them into the society. Why are we not checking the man's background? Like what happens in a lot of European countries. A man, the moment there is a report against the man that he is into some kind of violence, including domestic violence, there is the complete data sheet on him. He can be in UP or he can go to Madhya Pradesh or he could be in any state. There should be a data sheet which says, okay, this guy is a history sheeter. So, even domestic violence perpetrators of domestic violence should also be history sheeters. It's
I would
only
love to
then.
interrupt you here for a second, Rohit.
Hmm?
Unfortunately, in India, women do not talk. So having that history sheet is a far cry because they don't even tell their best friends that they're being beaten up. Leave aside going
because
and collecting a history sheet.
because traditionally for centuries we've been telling them to just shut up about it. That's what SM said.
Yes.
Traditionally
Yeah.
we've been telling them, no, no, this is your house. What is it that we say? तुम्हारी डोली जा रही है अब बस अर्थी वापस आएगी.
आरती वापस आएगी.
Who says that? In which country, which part of the world people tell their daughters that?
Hmm.
Right? So you are already telling the girl, you have your problem, you go sort it out on your own, you're not coming back here. Where does
Hmm.
the woman go?
Correct.
Right? This is how it is.
Correct. Now, how do we, at this point, again, I'm saying RWA, everything that is again a futuristic thing because women are not opening up to talk.
No, it
So,
is not
my
futuristic.
first thing would be for them to at least confide in somebody. There's this
No,
one
Priya,
video that is going on.
how's RWA futuristic? RWA is what we live in the present times. Okay, the woman
Present
is not
time.
opening.
Now,
Woman
there
is
is this
not
one
opening
video
up.
that I
But
saw yesterday.
you can actually hear her shouts, her cries, even a child crying. You know what is happening in this household. But as long as it's not your problem because it does not bother you at home, you keeping quiet about it.
There is a video that is going on since last 2 days where the father calls up the daughter and she has this emoji on her face and she has all bruises behind the emoji and she's like, oh papa, I'm absolute, everything is fine, my got the best husband and blah. And the father's like, okay, all is good, okay. He's a little skeptical, something is not okay with the girl, but then finally he gives up and he says, okay, we'll do this again later, and he hangs up. The minute he hangs up, she removes that emoji to show all the bruises on her face. My question is why? Okay, fine. We have been brought up saying that, okay, this is your house and you have to take care of the house and whatever. Can we not confide in somebody around us If not our family, if we think our family is going to lecture us again, or they're going to feel hurt, or oh my god, my father or my parents have some ailment, and if I be going to tell them this is going to be bad for their health or whatever. At this age, we don't want to, so we become the martyr in our own eyes. The good girls don't talk, that syndrome. So now, if we start creating our packs where we can discuss our deep rooted issues, and at least a friend, a neighbor, as you said, the RWA, can we not take up these little stands for ourselves and create these small groups where we can ask for empowerment, where we can just fall back for support? So if supposingly my husband is wanting to beat me today, I can run to a neighbor's house to safeguard myself for a night at least. Is this a doable option?
It ought to be, but during the lockdown, since the situation is so amazingly extraordinary, I really
Hmm.
don't know, because I have always felt that it is very important, very significant for women to have their own little
Hmm.
sorority. You
Hmm.
know, sometimes within their friend circle or neighborhood, within their the communities where they live in, the buildings where they live in, and because when we talk about empowerment, as Rohit said, that in his family, the girls, it's been decided that the girls are going to be educated and they are going to be
Hmm.
first independent before they decide to marry. But you
Hmm.
know, that kind of a thought process to develop overall is going to take quite some time,
Hmm.
because most people are still not that evolved. They don't think, you know, that much into the future.
Hmm.
But as of now, since we're talking about this current situation right now, see, social media is rampant. Everybody is using it. Even women are using it
Hmm.
at home. So I'm sure a little group or something can be created where they can vent out their feelings and maybe seek help in case there is any danger that they feel which is lurking.
Uh-huh. They went out.
How,
If you've seen all these
yeah,
women groups, the mom groups and everywhere, they keep venting out. But is that solving the problem? Just venting out, just wanting sympathy. See, there are two things. Either you went out to get sympathy, or you went out to get a proper, solution.
so so then
How
we
many
come
are
back to the
actually centric?
we come back to the basic fact, right? That we have to be strong
Hmm.
enough first to not
Huh.
play the victim anymore. We have to stand up to
Correct.
the bully.
Hmm.
That is when you will start seeking the kind of help that you need. Otherwise, you'd only be venting out and it will end there.
Rohit, I want to ask you something. Do you think women have also, because from the beginning we have been told this is your home and this is how you're supposed to be, this is how you're supposed to take care of it. You are the goddess Durga, the goddess Saraswati of the house or Lakshmi of the house. Do you
Lakshmi,
think that is
Lakshmi.
Lakshmi, yeah, Lakshmi of the house? So, do you think that is the space they come from and they have gotten very comfortable with whatever is there with them? And it is the fear of unknown that stops them from taking the next step.
Exactly. Like I said, uncertainty is a big demon, be it for
Hmm.
men or for women. Women
Hmm.
actually have, if there is a woman who knows that she's not
Hmm.
going to find a certain support system from her family,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And she knows that she's too scared. Like I just read somewhere in the comment, there's a lady who's written that when you go to the court, it says after 15 years, then they say, okay, go get a job. Probably
Hmm.
she's just a graduate, and after 15 years of having done graduation, and suddenly if she gets into a big bad world where the
Hmm.
youngsters are getting smarter each day and taking over your jobs, a
Hmm. Hmm.
graduate who's done probably graduation 10 years or 15 years back is probably going to find it very difficult to actually
Refit
Correct.
into
yeah.
the society.
Correct. Okay, I think we've lost Rohit. Rohit has got disconnected.
We've
So
lost
till the
Rohit.
time Rohit comes back, we can have a female banter.
Yes.
so so getting back to that, where I understand, okay, fine, 10, 15 years back you had done your graduation and suddenly today we've got Rohit back, so I'm getting back.
I'm so
Welcome
sorry.
back, Rohit. You dropped out.
We we had lost you almost.
Almost.
All
Right, so
right.
where was
I
I?
have to tell you, don't get. We really laugh a lot when we talk, the three of us. It's a madness zone we are in. Right now, we are
Yes.
trying to be very
Please
nice.
don't get wrong ideas.
It is a public image, so we're just trying to be very nice to each other. Yeah, Rohit, continue. You were talking.
So I suddenly dropped out and I got a little nervous. I don't really know what I was talking about. There's something that I've written that you were already talking about. That's venting out versus sympathy. Now,
Hmm.
you tell me if I have to ask you a question,
Yes.
if there is a friend of yours who comes to you and tells you, that there is this husband who's been beating her for some time, and
Hmm.
she is, of course, venting it out, right? She's not really going to get anything as a sympathy,
Hmm.
right? What is your reaction going to be? And knowing that you're a fiery lady, right?
And
What
she
is it
knows the
that you're going
truth.
to do?
Whom are you
Are,
asking?
are you asking
Okay,
me or you asking me?
let me
Whom
put it
are
to
you
both of you.
asking?
Let
Both
me
of
put
us
it to
are
both of
fiery.
you.
Both of us.
Yeah.
One person can answer.
Okay, whoever is the fighter is going to answer that.
Swami.
No, basically the thing is that see there are certain issues that see this is actually it turns out sometimes it's as somebody I was just reading there is one Samir who's written death is something death
Hmm.
comes in various forms not just soul leaving body.
Hmm.
So when you're in an abusive relationship, there is so much. Come to the emotional bit of it. There is so much within a person that dies
Hmm.
because there is so much that changes, and it can never change back. It cannot. You cannot just take that away. So when a friend to me is talking like that, I always ask, "What do you want?" And there have been friends who have spoken about it, and I have always encouraged them to think, "What do you want?" So what do you want to do about it? Let's go. You want to speak to somebody? Let's go meet the SHO. What is it that you want to do? Do you want to continue to live? And there is a lot of gaslighting, you see.
Okay, so okay,
Lot of
SM. Okay,
gaslighting.
so
Domestic.
SM. Let me
Hmm.
rephrase it. You went to, so she says, okay, I need help. Let me go to the SHO. You went to the SHO. What happens next?
Can I
No,
take it
they
from there?
obviously
Because I've
try.
actually done
हम
that.
आके बात करेंगे घर पे. Yeah, okay, fine, fine. Yes, please.
Suddenly,
Can
I've
I take it
taken
from
over.
there?
I've become the
Priya,
moderator.
please.
So sorry for hijacking the whole thing. But
We
let me keep
have,
asking
we
you
have.
guys
Okay.
It's
questions.
okay.
So
It's okay.
Priya
Unity
wanted to say
allowed.
something.
Yeah.
I have taken one of my friends to the women's cell, not the SHO. There's a difference.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when you go to the women's cell, they have counselors there. They have police who is for specifically for this thing. So they are a little more.
Purpose. Hmm.
Yeah, the purpose is a little different. So they will
Considerate.
listen to you
Hmm.
firstly. They will not push you away. So you have to go to the women's cell specifically to file a complaint. They take that complaint and then they forward it to a counselor. You are headed towards a counseling, marriage counseling if it works. If it doesn't work, if you still want to file a case, then there is an FIR that gets lodged. And when you lodge an FIR, the guy is behind bars. As simple as that.
Okay,
It's
and if
actually not that undoable.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
so
not.
this is exactly what needs to come out. This is what the girls probably listening to your program should actually get to know. Okay, this is doable. That is
Yeah.
how they get a ray of hope.
So
Now,
if you have
No,
gone
that is
to
if
the
you were to
also
go to an
a
SHO,
normal police station, you will never get help.
exactly, that is exactly what I wanted to bring out. You go to an
Hmm.
SHO, like I told you, I was at a police thana where the
Hmm.
SHO, was actually sitting there. I mean, I was having this squeezy feeling in my gut sitting here at a police station. When you're in the army and you go to a police station, it's a very different thing. You're the person who's in power. When you're retired
Hmm.
and you go into a police thana for whatever reason,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
suddenly when you start seeing people around, it's a very different feeling. Now like I said, I've been trained in the army, right? I deal with police and everybody.
hmm.
For
Hmm.
me to, as a civilian or as a retired Fauji, to go there, like I said, I had a queasy feeling. Think about what's going to happen to the women. So yes,
Yeah. Yeah. True.
this is where the difference is. So any place where a woman is actually going to vent out her feeling, the friend
Hmm.
actually has to give her the right advices,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And in
Correct.
case if she actually gets guided in the correct manner, okay, you took her to the women's cell, so now she started getting counseling. Maybe things
Hmm.
just are not right. Maybe then the
Hmm.
next step is also trying to get her to be standing on her own feet. I mean, she must have done some kind of she must be having some kind of an education.
Women's cell is automatically
Some
connected
of
to a
them
lot
are
of
already
NGOs.
working, Rohit.
Yeah, some
There,
of them are
women's
working.
Some
health
of
is
them are already
automatically
working
connected
also.
to a lot of NGOs which are working towards re-empowering the woman,
Exactly.
resurrecting her life, all of that. So even if she has to immediately move out from her husband's house, they can even help her get a place to stay for a while till she does not stand back on her feet. So there is a
Exactly.
lot of help there. There is a lot of help if we know where to
But
go and if we have the right lawyer in hand. Lawyer again plays a very important role. So most of these women go
if
for
we
the women
have the
lawyer.
will,
Yes. Firstly is if you
if
have
we
the
have
will
the will to go
do
through
it.
it, the
Yes.
swami, the swamying of the husband has to first be gotten rid of. That is like a cancer that is like so rampant in the
Swami.
society. The Swami ji, wo maar dale, wo mar jate hain, still they'll never, probably, yeah, it's they know they are being wronged. They are probably going to end up dead. And the children who live in families where there is abuse, the
Hmm.
children are psychologically affected very badly. This I
Oh,
did as a part of my whatever, like
yes.
my educational career.
Yes.
There is so much of confusion, there is so much of anger which is latent, and there is hatred, and there is frustration, anxiety, and it manifests itself like Freudian psychology sort of takes shape in those children. There is so much of, we cannot begin to understand the frustration and the anger in those children, and they either become perpetrators as they grow up or abusers. So this whole idea कि अरे घर टूट जाएगा बच्चे खराब हो जाएंगे,
बच्चे तो
that
ऑलरेडी
is
खराब हो रहे हैं.
absolutely rubbish. वो
बच्चे
बच्चे
तो ऑलरेडी
वो
खराब
देख
हो
के
रहे हैं.
वो सोचते हैं लड़कियां सोचती हैं कि this is fine, we can be wrapped up, it's fine, we'll grow up, we'll accept it just as our mom did. And
हाँ.
boys think, or we are talking like, not, I don't want to be gender specific, but we see and learn what we learn by example is more it's more let's say it stays with us longer than
Hmm.
what we hear. So when they see this happening in their houses, they either become perpetrators or they become victims themselves. So
Hmm.
it's a vicious cycle that goes on and on and on.
So
So first the
I'm going to
will
get
has to
back
be
to
there,
it.
then the
We need to get back to the first step, where we're talking about a lockdown situation where a woman might be venting out to 30 people on the group, on Facebook, mothers groups. We hear that every day. We hear the rants every day. But that rant does not culminate into an action for the predator to cultivate that fear of consequence. How does anybody do that in this lockdown? How does, apart from going to the police, now somebody really has to empower them to go to the police? Is that the only option? Supposing we want to safeguard the house, because going to the police means your house is finished. Going to the police means you will be actually troubled to the next extent. You've made up your mind that now I'm going to be the Kali of the house. I don't want to be
go
the
through this.
Lakshmi
Yes,
anymore. Let me become the Kali and take the action. So from Lakshmi to Kali,
yes.
that transformation that happens. See, we are the land of
That has to
goddesses.
be internal. That
That has
has to
to
be
be
internal.
done. Now, supposingly somebody is stuck in the Lakshmi route because that's a comfort zone of hers, and she doesn't want to go towards the Kali route. She doesn't want to, she doesn't have it in her, she doesn't want to do it. Then how does she safeguard herself? Rohit, you had spoken about a blockage technique where we are talking about emotions. Even as a predator, the emotions are varying. So when there is a peak of anger, when you think somebody can hit you, how do you block yourself then?
Very simple,
Hmm.
right? And I'm not saying that because I'm a trained soldier. It's actually
Ah,
very simple,
yeah, yeah.
and that is something that I make most girls actually practice the moment I do any kind of a workshop. See, I will
Hmm.
not actually be telling any women right now who unfortunately are going through some kind of an issue or domestic violence to actually start hitting back, which
Hmm.
actually is something that I actually teach. I
Hmm.
would actually want women to hit back in case if they're being hit back,
Oh, oh
hit
yeah.
at. So right, that is one. But
Yes.
at this point, half knowledge is very dangerous.
Hmm.
So you see, the only thing is what I am saying is two things. The fight actually starts from here.
Yeah.
The fight is never in
Exactly.
your biceps. The fight is never in your triceps. It's one
Correct.
day you decide.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's one day you decide that I am not going to be hit.
Going
So
Hmm.
the fight starts there,
going to take
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So in the army, there's this quote which I read somewhere.
Hmm.
It said it's never the size of the dog in the fight that matters. It's always the
Correct.
size of the fight in the
Of
dog
the
that
size
matters,
of fight in the dog.
right?
Yes.
So this
Yes.
this is exactly so. One of the easiest thing to do is you decide आज मेरे को कोई थप्पड़ नहीं मार सकता,
Hmm. Thappad.
right?
Huh. Huh.
So
आज मुझे
okay,
कोई नेम कॉल नहीं कर सकता, वो भी है
Hmm.
डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस.
क्या
थप्पड़ी
क्या
पे
नहीं
क्यों
कर
रुक रहे
सकता?
हो भाई? You cannot name call, cannot put down a person, cannot
Yeah,
shout and scream
exactly.
and
So one other see everybody needs to understand every human is actually or every animal in this on this earth is actually born with a self defense mechanism.
Hmm.
Everybody is, right?
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
as humans have forgotten it over the years because we've decided to outsource
Hmm.
our self defense to somebody,
Hmm.
and we made even traditions out of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
A girl has a 5-year-old brother, and she has to tie Rakhi to the 5-year-old, and the 5-year-old thinks कि मैं इसकी रक्षा करूंगा, and the girl is
Correct.
probably 18,
Correct. Huh.
right?
Hmm.
Elder brothers have always taught their younger sisters कि लड़ाई होगी तो मेरे पास आना, मैं देख लूंगा. The boyfriends think it's very macho for them to
Yeah.
go and say hey क्या होगा, and then actually wait for the compromise to happen in a
bash
fight,
up somebody.
to bash up somebody. And the bashing up in any part of the world never happens one to one. It's always call up your friends, get 10 people. So there's muscles in numbers,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? But here in a
Correct.
domestic violence, you are actually one person fighting against one person. Remember, you just have to block him. So the first thing that you have to do is take that blockage out of your mind. The man slaps you. There is a pattern with which the man hits.
Hmm.
Okay, he's right-handed, so the slap's always coming from the right hand, right? When he gets drunk, so what actually happens when you're drunk? Why do men hate women? SM just said because it makes them feel powerful. At the end of the day, we are animals. There are two things, as animals, we have to remember. One, there is self-defense mechanism inherent to us,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
We should know it's like a reflex action. The moment you
Survival.
bring your hand like this, what happens? Your eyes close, you go back. That's
Hmm.
self-defense mechanism,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
That is what it is. The second thing, like I said, we are animals at the end of the day. What happens? When we are angry, we don't really see what we're doing.
Hmm.
A man
Hmm.
who is actually hitting his wife, think of a situation where a man has hit the woman for the first time.
Hmm.
Suddenly he felt very powerful. He's like, I hit her and there was no retaliation. So next time he's
Hmm.
going to give her two. So
Hmm.
the intensity is going to increase.
Hmm.
And the more the woman cries or shouts for help,
Hmm.
he's
The
getting angry.
more it is
The
giving
more
more power.
angry he gets,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then it's just his animal instincts which takes over, and then he's not thinking anything. He's just bashing up black and blue.
Hmm.
Now think of a situation where the woman is just blocking herself. She's not hitting back.
Hmm.
And you think that's difficult? Go ahead, go home and try it today.
How do you do that?
Okay, very simple. Never
Huh.
lose eye contact. That's the
Huh.
easiest thing to do. See, what actually
Okay.
happens is the moment a man, in any fight, the moment the slap comes like this, right? What
Okay.
is it that we do? We duck. We close our eyes.
Flinch. Yeah,
We
Huh.
flinch.
we
We
flinch.
duck, right?
Hmm.
Right.
The moment you flinch, the second blow comes in.
Hmm.
That's even on a road rage or any fight. The moment you
Hmm.
flinch, you are giving that much more time for that man to think and start hitting you. Because you
Hmm.
giving that man an opening. It's what happens in boxing. You're fighting like this. Why do you do
Hmm.
this? Because you're guarding yourself. The moment you give that man some space, the punch comes in.
Hmm.
If you, the thing is, the secret to the fight is never look at that person's hand. Never lose sight of his eye. Any person who's hitting you, whatever happens, don't lose eye contact with the person.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Go back,
Hmm.
try it with husband, with your brother, with your boyfriend, or with just anybody or anybody. Just ask the person to try to hit you without telling you where the slap is going to come from.
Hmm.
Instinctively, if you do not lose eye contact, your hand will automatically come up. Certain things
Hmm.
to, of course, remember is don't get your hand too close like this because the slap comes in, it gets you here like this. So if you
So
can
you
just have a
sometimes.
little bit of a air, if you can just have a little bit of an air gap.
Huh.
Now think of a situation where a woman is actually defending herself by just lifting her hand. The man suddenly brings it, she brings her right hand up, right?
Hmm.
He tries to grab her, she just opens up her arm like this. So
Hmm.
now look at this man who's actually who's actually in a fit of rage.
Hmm.
Pehle to whenever he was actually hitting this woman wasn't retaliating. She was just flinching, and she was just going down like a sack of potatoes. Suddenly, the potato stood up and fighting back, right? And she's blocking herself. This man is going to get irritated. This man is going to get frustrated because now initially when he was hitting the woman, his brains weren't working. Please understand. Why? Because it's
Yeah.
like left goes, right goes, and then my leg comes up. The more the woman gets hurt, the more powerful I feel. My animal instincts are coming out. The woman also needs to get her animal instinct of her self-defense mechanism coming out without having to go to a bhaiya or anybody. And she's just blocking herself. And she just does not lose eye contact. Keep blocking. Not more than 20 seconds or 30 seconds, I bet, will that man be able to, because he'll be huffing and panting. Because when you're angry and you're the one who's actually bringing your hand with that power, what you're doing is you're just bringing your hand up. The moment you start defending yourself, it also sends a message to that man, right? That she is not retaliating, but she's also not taking shit now. That is where the difference starts happening. Now think of a situation again where a woman has actually defended herself. And like I said, she's not hit back. She's only defended herself. And the man goes out in frustration.
Okay.
Right? The moment the man goes out in frustration and suddenly, look, this is women empowerment. Suddenly look at the way she will actually start feeling powerful. Go try it with your brother today. And let me know if it works.
My brother's in US, so I'm
I'm
happy.
talking about the rest of the rest of the ladies here. Seriously, go ahead, try it. Because see, ultimately, you are not letting that man hit. So you are actually sending a signal of three things. First, suddenly you developed a self-confidence, right? Yeah, Shilpi just come in. Is she waving or is she wanting to get into the debate now? Yeah, you wanting to say something?
I had
You're again surrounded by women, Rohit.
no.
Lovely to be surrounded by two lovely
Yes,
looking women. It's my lucky day.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, so you're saying something.
the metamorphosis might happen.
No, not waiting for that.
Huh.
Yeah, sorry, SM, you're saying something.
No, I wasn't. I had somehow
She had
accidentally logged
disappeared,
out, and
but
I
she's
had just
back
come back
again.
in
Yeah.
there for.
Okay,
Yeah,
So
you
you
didn't even
continue.
notice. You continue.
okay.
Okay, see, Roshni's writing. He later said, "I didn't know you could be so scary."
Scary.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard
I
What
that.
do
didn't
you
get
think?
that.
Yeah, because the
Why?
eye contact thing was really true. It is really effective.
Okay, in
Absolutely.
anger, I turned into a total psycho, and he got so scared.
Yeah,
So
oh, so
basically,
she's probably talking
Bravo.
about her own thing.
from La- from from
Yes.
from
Very good.
Lakshmi, she turned into a Kalima. So yeah,
Yeah,
good,
so
Roshni. I'm so proud of you. So you
Yes.
gave him a fear of consequence. That is exactly what we are wanting to say. The fear
so
of
Roshni,
consequence.
see, now in
Man
case
should
if Roshni has turned
out.
from Lakshmi to Kali, what if Lakshmi and Kali, both of them decide to walk out of that man? He's got no Lakshmi left and he's got no Kali left.
Perfect.
So the man,
Then
that
Lakshmi
is
and
what.
Kali
That
go
is
to
what
new
that
heaven.
is how it would
So
probably play
create a
out in
new
the end.
heaven altogether without the
Sorry,
Indras and the Brahmas. Then new heaven will be created.
sorry. Come again.
I said then a new heaven will be created without the Brahmas and the Indras sitting on a head.
Exactly. So yeah, this is it. The women have to be confident about themselves. They have to see what I was saying actually was that the moment a woman will actually block a blow, suddenly she'll have confidence in herself. And everything actually starts by the blockage moving out from the head, the woman getting the confidence, and that, believe you me, is actually going to bring a smile on her face. Right? This is what happens. So that actually becomes the first step. The moment you take the first step, the financial steps will come in automatically. This is what.
Correct. Correct. So
Yeah.
now, after all of this, the lockdown and everything, and now there are a lot of NGOs also that are working towards bringing up, helping people. So we have Iti also with us. We are crossing almost an hour talking. Our banter will not stop. We'll continue on. So the gender blender that I wanted to talk about. that see, there are two things. One is feminism that is already going on, and women are getting a little aware of things, and they have started talking a little. But now there is a toxic feminism also that is happening, and toxic masculinity also that's happening. The
Exactly.
two societies which are now clashing. So now the latest, what happened, the boys' locker room that
Top of the
happened. Yeah, that was a complete case of toxic femininity which took a boy's life. So,
femininity, feminism.
yes, yes. So
Yes.
feminism is not about bashing up men. We need to now, all of us have to come together to create a world where we happily coexist, where we know how to safeguard ourselves. See the point what Rohit made, what Shilpi you also made. We have to become mentally strong first to not look at women as a weaker sex. I hate that statement. There's nothing weak about me. Ask any man. I can kill them, right? They're just from my look. One look at them and you can die there. So no, I am not weak as a woman. So when I can feel that,
Hmm.
why are other women feeling weak? I also come from a very patriarchal family, a Punjabi by birth. So you know how Punjabi families are. I mean, no talking to men, and men are ultimate gods. And ladka paida ho gaya to perfect ho gaya. You're just a girl, you can't go out. All of that we've all jhelod now while growing up. But then you create your own personality after a point. You realize this is what you want and this is what you don't want. So now we need to, as women, we need to create a sheet, a chart saying, okay, this is acceptable to me and this is not acceptable to me. If this much also we can do, the minute the man hits that not acceptable spot, if she knows how to stand up and talk, if she knows how to stand for herself, saying this is not right for me, and there has to be an action attached to it. You cannot just stand up and say, okay, okay, acha, acha, kal
There,
aaj bol
that
diya, kaal kar diya. There has to be an action.
no, but
Probably
that
she
is
needs
what
to go to
empowerment is all
her
about.
parents' house for a month or 2 months. At least there's some fear of consequence that comes into the man. That okay, I might lose her, and nobody wants to lose a family. I'm sure, be a man or a woman. Nobody wants to break a family. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But exactly. But that is what empowerment is all about. The women
Hmm.
have to be able to think for themselves,
Why not?
and
See,
that also
ultimately, it
again
is not the
begins.
divorce. We don't want to put
Priya,
people.
if I may just interject, you were getting Iti in the conversation.
Yes. So I'm going to get Iti in, who is the founder of WEFT, which is Women
Red
Entrepreneurs
dot.
for Transformation. And WEFT has come up with a beautiful initiative called Red Dot, where you can call that number up. She's going to come up and speak about it. I am already. Hi, Iti.
Hey everyone, hello, hi.
Iti, I was
Hi
introducing
again.
WEFT and Red Dot. WEFT is a woman entrepreneur for transformation. It's a forum for basically, Iti has a beautiful vision of creating a nation full of women entrepreneurs. And she is working towards
50% at least. That's all full of women entrepreneurs. Yeah, but we're looking at a vision of having a equal share in the startup ecosystem also with women entrepreneurs.
and now she's come up with this initiative called Red Dot, which is helping women during the lockdown. The violence cases have gone up so high, so that is an initiative she started, which she's going to talk about. Better if she talks about it, because that is her baby and her passion. So Iti, please tell us about the Red Dot initiative.
All right. During the lockdown, what happened? We were reaching out to some of the women entrepreneurs in WEFT and asking them if they needed some help because the businesses were pretty much shaken and it was coming to almost a grinding halt for most
Hmm.
of them. And
Hmm.
what we actually started getting was the cases around domestic violence. There were a
Hmm.
couple of cases that came to us from different women, and we started reaching out to National Council Women and other places where we try to understand that why this is happening and how
Hmm.
this is happening.
Hmm.
With National Council for Women, we got to know that the cases that they were getting earlier have actually doubled up, and not just that. Uh, They also mentioned that most of the cases were completely unreported because women do not want to come out
Hmm.
and report this
Hmm.
thing to us. So there was a strong need for organization, which an action that needed to be taken. One is, of course, on building awareness, then the action to be taken against the perpetrators and rescuing the women. That's where
Hmm.
the Red Dot initiative came in. A
Hmm.
red dot, basically, what we wanted to do with this was that we wanted to make a red dot on the palm of a woman as a symbol of domestic violence. So this was a very
Fine.
simple but effective way to
Hmm.
say that without even uttering a word, you can actually seek help from your neighbors, from your supporters, from grocers, pharmacists, anyone, anywhere where you're going. Yes, yes, Priya, you have some.
So
Yeah,
this is where Rohit's input of RWA also gets incorporated. How you can actually have your neighbors and people around you
yeah.
react to the red
Yeah,
dots.
yeah. And the simplicity of this initiative is that it don't need a language. Even if you are challenged by the language, at least a red dot on the hand, this becomes a good symbol for you to talk it out. All you need is the citizens' empathy. So we're calling it a citizen-led initiative because
Hmm.
government is so busy with so many things right now. They're fighting out the COVID lockdown itself. It is very important for us as a citizen to empathize with the people and just be alert citizen. That's about it. A few days back there was a Khanti Bajao initiative that came up. Now this initiative would be a different one, but at the same time you can actually reach out, and we have got our email ID, which is weftinfo@gmail.com, and now we have also launched a WhatsApp number as well as phone number, which is
Hmm.
9686 119822. You can call us, email us, you can WhatsApp us, and the help reaches out to you immediately. Yeah.
Iti, drop this number and email ID in the comment section also, please, so that
Oh,
people can
sure.
easily.
I'll definitely do that. Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
And is this
And
pan India? Is this area specific or is it only in Bangalore?
Yeah, so it's pan India. We have started getting cases from across India now already. We started this launch of Red Dot initiative happened on 30th of March, and as on date today, we have got our 83rd case in the morning. And out of this 83 cases, we have
Wow.
already solved 42 cases now.
Fantastic.
And when I
Amazing.
say solved it, let
That's
me tell you also
fabulous
that
number.
what is the actions that we take immediately. So with the helpline number now getting flashed up, at least women are reaching out to us. First thing first that we do is that we talk to the victim. We make sure that the case is legitimate. It's very important to understand a fake case versus a real case. Uh, Once we have made sure that the case is correct and we have spoken to the victim directly, that is when we start talking to the local police station, and we tell them that we need to rescue this lady and push them towards it. At times we get major support from them, and at times there have been cases where police have not been very helpful. That is when we reach out to, our next step is to move to the local NGOs who has got a good volunteer base, and they can help us out. Again, there also we have got very mixed response. At times they're very helpful, at times they are, but somewhere or the other we are able to make a case and we are able to push the women out. Once they are rescued, we generally call the rescue place as the safe house. When the person is rescued and is at the safe house, it can be a parent's house, it can be brother's house, or it can be a women's shelter home as well, or just a girls' hostel. We have done that as well. Then there is a therapist on the call who gives and provides an immediate mental health support to the lady. Because at that point of time, either the woman is under a lot of depression or have gone through immediate stress in her life. So to make her a little stronger to what is going to unfold now was very much required. So this intervention comes in, and the third step for us is to check her financial independence status. 90% of the cases that we have received, we have found that somewhere or the other, the woman has been financially depending on their perpetrators. It's either father or brother or husband,
Spouse.
spouses. What we realized was that it is very important for a woman to live their life with dignity. They have to become financially independent. Left from our side also, we have got an entrepreneurship development program for which we enroll some of the women. Otherwise, most of the women look forward to jobs. Not many women want to become an entrepreneur. So we also have now started working with them to provide jobs for them. Thankfully, for the lockdown, we have got a lot of jobs on hand which are work from home. Some people have really benefited from that, and women are now getting their jobs and working towards it. Not just that, we also have now tied up with one of the scholarship programs where there are women who are earning, but they are not earning enough. So
Mhm.
we just enroll them for a 100% scholarship leadership program, which they can go through and they can start earning a little better. So that's our whole aim, and it's the major social impact that Red Dot Initiative is creating right now.
That's nice. And apart from that, I would also say, as Iti is also there, and she's working on that. She's working on that, where she's also aligned with the banks. So a lot of banks also have their skill development programs, and then if she has to push them towards entrepreneur drive, so they have these 2 months, 3 months skill development programs also, and from there she can get you the 10 lakhs is as it is allowed for, and most of the Indian banks give 10 lakhs without any collateral for a woman to start her business. So this
Yeah,
is
now
not,
that with the
if you're not
new
aware of this, for a woman to start a business, a bank cannot say no to you. They have to shell out 10 lakhs without any collateral. You don't need to give any collateral to the bank.
Yeah, and I'm sure that everyone would have heard the recent MSME support that government has shown. With that,
Yes.
in fact, some 3 lakh crore package has been sanctioned to only MSMEs, and there's a lot of focus that has come upon women entrepreneurs as such as well, where a tremendous support has been shown, and government themselves have mediated and said that no one can say no to a woman entrepreneur if you're looking for a job.
So there is so much government is doing. There's so much everybody is doing. Women, get up and do it for yourself. Damn it, do it for yourself. Just stand up
Women
for
have to just
yourself.
stop feeling sorry for themselves. You know.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't have to
Exactly.
stop in the
That's the
victim
bottom
card.
line.
I would just
Exactly.
like to add one of
Iti,
the experiences that we recently got with one of the victims that came to us. So her first few lines that she reported to us was that uh, uh, women are okay to be treated like shit. We are doormats, and men can do anything to us. These were
Really?
her words. And
What?
no, no, no.
Speak
yes,
up. Men can do anything. Rose, you're the only man here. You will get beaten up by us by such
So,
statements.
Poor
so
thing. I mean,
this is
just
the thought process. Why I'm bringing this up over here is that the typical thought process is like this. Yet another incident that I would like to share with you was when a woman finally, after the support and the therapy that we gave her, she was ready to move out of a very, very toxic relationship. She has got beaten up for like 12 years on a continuous basis. And she said, okay, I'm ready to file a divorce and I want to get separated. When this news went to her parents said that you are going to see a dead face of me if you are going to file for a divorce. So they were okay with her getting beaten up every day, but they didn't accept her to be called as a divorcee.
Why that, Iti? Somebody like me who comes across so strong, so headstrong, so everything. I was in a toxic relationship for 8 years, beaten black and blue, and I took it because thinking, अच्छा ठीक है ना, he's otherwise nice. कभी कभी ऐसे हो जाता है. This mindset,
It's
this
mindset, and
mindset.
there's so much of normalcy around domestic violence. It is okay for anyone to get beaten up.
exactly.
And in that movie, I was just watching it recently, Thappad. They said that ek thappad hi to hai. It's okay to get beaten up. But what it does to your
It's the
dignity, what it
complacency
does
that
to
kills it.
it kills it
It's the
completely.
complacency of the
Yes.
society.
Yeah.
Iti, may I ask you? See, the highest rate of this domestic violence comes from Punjab, Haryana, UP, and Bihar. These are the top four states. So,
That's
do you
right.
also have your network servicing these days?
Yes,
Because you
absolutely.
are
In
in
fact,
Bangalore, from what I
yeah,
understand.
yeah. You'll be glad to know that we have just recently signed up with Punjab Police, who have shown tremendous support, and Mr. Parminder Singh Parmar and the IG of police in Punjab Police. They have recently signed up with us, stating that anything that happens, we are going to show our complete support to REFT and Red Dot Initiative, and we would definitely be part of it. And for that matter, there are many cases which has come to us from Rajasthan, from Uttar Pradesh, from Bihar. We have got just one, but most of the other places we have reached out. We have seen that there's good response that comes in from the police as well as the local NGOs. Some of them are super active, and we have got some brilliant people working on the ground right now to support women. They have gone
Mhm.
out during the lockdown to their houses, pulled the women out, taken them to the local police station. We have had great instances, and we have got amazing stories right now to talk about. And these are the real heroes actually who save women from these clutches.
So,
Rohit also has one such story where
so
he
you
did a
tie up
similar
with the
case.
local NGOs?
Yeah, we tie up with the local NGOs depending upon in which area we get the case from. So we immediately take action. Although we do have a sign up with National Commission for Women, also we take up a lot of cases with them as well. But their action is little longer to take. And if there's an emergency case, we ourselves reach out to the police station, or we end up taking the NGO's help.
Rohit, I want you to narrate your story also, that lady's story that you pulled out from the house. That was a very interesting story.
Okay, that of course happened a couple of years back when I was still in the army,
Mm,
and I was the second in command of a specialized battalion in
mm,
here in Uttarakhand, and we had an officer who had just joined us with his wife and I think probably a 2-year-old son. And this officer, of course, had to leave for a certain operation, and we lost him, in one of the operations. Now, once we lost the officer, and he had just been married for like about 3 years. Now, he came from a certain background which was economically weak, and he had taken up a loan to build up his own house. So the parents started thinking, that's the officer's parents started thinking that in case if they let their daughter-in-law move out of the house, what will happen about the house? Maybe she'll have to, maybe she'll take claim of the house. That is one, or maybe they'll just stop paying the EMIs and the house will be just half constructed. So what they did, they actually locked her up in the name of
mm,
tradition,
mm,
right? And unfortunately, we also lost a soldier in a separate incident in Delhi. He met with a motor vehicle accident,
mm,
and his wife was also there, staying very close to the camp. And
mm.
that is the time when we came to know that the soldier's wife was being so ill treated. Now, the ill treatment here on the hills in Uttarakhand was that in the thick of winters, this woman was actually not given woolen clothes to wear. She was actually sleeping on a floor with a very thin mattress. She was supposed to get up every morning at 4 o'clock, bathe with cold water. She was supposed to be cooking food for everybody in the household. So everybody could eat food made by the woman, but the woman could not have food made by anybody else. So which means she had to cook for the whole family, and she also had to cook for herself. And she had two sons, and they started sorry about my dog. So they also started missing out on the school. And that is the time when the officer's wife gave me and a commanding officer a call. And so we actually sent a couple of soldiers down. We pulled this lady out, and we gave her a job in the army school as a teacher. And as luck would have it, she just stayed with us for about 6 months. So she actually got the support from us more than she got it from her family. And today, that lady is an officer in the Indian Army. I think she's already put in about 5 or 6 years of service already. So which means she must be a major by now. And
Wow.
as far as the soldier's wife was concerned, we gave her a job in the army school as well, and we made her financially independent. So, we had a case of the officer and the soldier, and, the kind of treatment we were meeting out to the women. So, the support system, of course, came from the army. That is us, from the battalion. The battalion was ready to go beyond the call of duty, in this case, and help the women out. So this is what everybody needs to do, and that is the reason why I was talking that in macro term. But in case if we talk about it in terms of micromanaging it, that is the reason why I say RW has actually become like the guardian angels. They have like
If
100.
a
Yeah.
woman wants, if a woman wants, see, as
No,
a
even
as a
even
neighbor, I
even
can't walk into somebody's house.
even if a woman does not want, because the woman knows that in case if she goes out, because you also we were talking about weapon when we started before moved in. We were talking about guilt being used as a weapon. Why are we
Hmm.
forgetting that we are also using violence as weapon, and we are also using threats as weapon?
Of course we are.
So in case if there is a man who's actually hitting a woman, he's not going to just allow her to go to a neighbor and go complain about it. He's actually threatening her. He's even threatening her to go to her parents. And that is the reason why the biggest lie in the world is I fell down or I slipped in the bathroom. That's the
Now,
biggest lie ever.
now we have, as an NGO, I have faced this. Once I got, when I just started working, I had got very emotional about this thing, and I went to a neighbor's house because I heard it. I heard the woman scream. So I went there, and the woman was like, "It's my internal matter. Please don't interfere. You want to break my house or what?" Now, what do you do then?
So the woman
And I,
is going to say that because
because I
because she
was not a senior officer in the army, I could
sorry
not do anything. See,
sorry
in
come
your
again.
case, senior officer from the army, okay, so they were still gave you they gave in. But in this case, in normal
No.
cases, when
It's not that they gave in. Priya, it's
hmm,
because we did not give in.
huh. So in
I would
your
have
case,
taken no for an answer from the in-laws of either the soldier. So
the
in your
family,
case, going to the
huh,
neighbor, maybe see the neighbor is scared because
huh,
after the door is shut, you're going to be at her house for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 hours.
hmm,
But once the door gets shut, she gets beaten again. So
hmm.
she has to. So till the time she knows there is a concerted effort to save her, she is going to lie about it.
She
You
is
got to
going.
give her that.
It's very important. I remembered one of the other cases also when the lady was very badly beaten, and in fact the child that she had, 8-year-old kid, he was also beaten up. He got in between the fight and he had bruises and got a little bit of bleeding and all. So we wanted to make a criminal case, and we reached out to the SHO, and he was ready to help. And as soon as the lady heard the police word, she froze. Her voice changed. The minute she started talking back to us, she had a choke in her voice and she said that no police can enter my house, otherwise I'm dead. And her voice was so shaky and so scared at that point of time. You can feel the pain from the phone itself. There's a lot of fear in women that police should not enter my house. It cannot be made. This is an internal matter. It should not go out. In fact, some of the ladies are taught that घर की बात घर में रखो, बाहर नहीं जाने चाहिए, घर की बात है जो. So
बंद
those
मुट्ठी
are
ला
the
के खुल गई तो
problems
खा
right
के आओ.
now, yeah, that women are facing, and they don't want their family matters, so called, to go out. But they forget the whole thing that this is, once a hand is raised, it is going to continue one after the other. It is never going to get stopped. And they are putting their children in such toxic environments where they can get in between fights, they can get hurt, they can get very emotionally abused. The children who are getting born and brought up in such toxic environments, they have got many issues when they grow up. And this has to be taken into action immediately by the lady, the woman of the house. If they are strong enough and they say that, okay, I have to put this to a stop now and I have to reach out for help, all they need to do is to reach out to help. And there are many people who can help you out here. You have to reach out to help. That's about it. And police is also there to help.
There is a question Shilpi has asked, Shilpi Tauri,
Yeah.
specifically to Rohit. Rohit, I'm going to put that thing up. Please read it. Question to Rohit.
We are all talking about what women should do, but what can we should do man? Okay, why hit and abuse at the first place? How our society should condition our men, and how we can shift the discussion on men and their behaviors. You are talking very straight, and I'm sure your message will go deep down to men too.
Very simple. See, the behavior of men actually starts at home. I think SM also said that, and I think ET also brought that out, and we all know that. It's what we teach our boys now. Like I'll tell you what, my son has been raised to be chivalrous. I have a 13-year-old son,
Yeah.
right? So he's been
Mm.
taught to, because he's got a sister who's 16. By the way, she's the one
Mm.
who started Mission Fight back, right? And so I have a son who actually gets bashed up by girls every time he comes back from school. And every time he comes back and he says that I can't hit these girls back. What is it that I do? Right? So like we were talking about flip side. But see, at the end of the day, he knows that this is going to, this is just friendly banter. But
Mm.
at the end of the day, he has to be chivalrous. And a real macho man is the person who's actually going to be chivalrous. And I'm not talking about feminism or anything else here. So everything actually starts and ends at home. See, when a child goes to school, you don't expect the child, to be taught a lot of things, moral studies and moralistic values and things like that. Nothing happens at school. Schools, the doors open or the gates open. After a couple
Mm.
of hours, the gates close down,
Mm.
right? So there is nothing that a child is actually picking up from, school. If the only thing the child is actually picking up from school these days, of course, are the bad language or the bad behavior. Sorry to say that, but that's actually a fact. But it is you who are like we're talking about the boys' locker room.
Yeah.
So it could have been representation, but the boys' locker room is a fact and it happens everywhere. I've been part of it. I've been part of it. I'll
It
be
really
this thing.
happened. Girls' locker room also happened.
See, that's a
I have to
separate
tell you
debate.
what happened to your picture circulated across. Rohit,
Sorry.
I just
Okay.
have to tell you what
I
happened to your
can't
picture
hear
circulated
at all.
across.
Okay. So I'll pretend not to have heard that. Right.
Well,
So
Like,
what you
but
are
I'm
saying
just
is
kidding.
that's
What actually
very true.
happened? I think
It all starts at home. We got a men domestic violence case as well for Red Dot. There was a very concerned female friend who called up, and she said that there's a friend of mine who's getting abused, not really beaten up, but the abuse is more of a torture and a mental trauma that he's going through on a regular basis by this lady who's his wife right now. He's made to do all the household chores, and she would not do anything, and there are a lot of things along with that she added, which I cannot really say it out in public. She said that this is not what we expect, but would you go out and help? And that's when we called up the victim and we spoke to him. I said that why don't you voice it out? What is the reason? And the first thing that he said that we were not taught like that. Uh, in our family, I have been born and brought up by a lady, my mother, and we used to highly respect her, and that's how I see my wife as well.
Hmm.
I would like to respect her, and I can't really raise my voice at her. And if she's
if I may just add to this,
yeah,
ultimately, you see, I passed out of Delhi University, right? And I picked up all the abuses that I could have picked up because I'd come from a small town, right? And suddenly I came to this big city and I picked up all the right words. And that is the time after passing out of college is the time when I joined the army. And
Hmm.
one of the first, the first few classes that we had was not about weapons or anything when you joined the army. The first lecture in the army was about etiquettes.
yeah,
It was all about table manners, etiquettes, treating women right. Why is it that an army officer is always taught to be chivalrous? See, most of us come from varied backgrounds, different economic strata. But why is it that the moment there is, the man has a certain designation before his name, which shows that he's from the armed forces, he's
Hmm.
supposed to be a gentleman? They use the word an officer and a gentleman. Why? We come from the same stock because there we are taught to actually, respect women.
yes.
Why
Once
can't
in
we do the
army,
same?
a gentleman forever
Yeah,
is what we always
exactly,
say.
Priya.
I have a thing here.
Right.
Respecting women, being chivalrous was good till the time you think. Again, there's a thought here. I'm going to attack that thought. I'm sorry, Rohit. Chivalrous comes from a thought that women are weak.
No, 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 no. Sorry, you're totally wrong. Right? Chivalrous does not come from the this thing that they're weak. It
Hmm.
comes from the fact that you got to respect them.
I would
There's a difference.
respect any human being,
No,
irrespective of the
it's
gender.
no, no. If I stand up, if I'm traveling in a bus or anything, if I stand up for a lady, right?
Why?
It's not because I think that she's
Why
weak.
is
That
the
is one.
army?
If I stand
Why?
up for, sorry,
Is she doesn't
This
have
is
to
like
be.
no, no,
feminism.
no, no, no.
Feminism
So
is such
that is
talked about
see.
word, but
Let's
people
not
do
get into
confuse with a
feminism.
lot,
Ki, you know,
right?
I'm just as strong and things like
No,
that.
no,
I'm
no.
not talking about that.
I'm getting to the point which has gone into our heads. We are weak. Why can't we stand? We are
No, no.
fighting for equality. If we are fighting for something, our expectations are something. See, even men get beaten up because of this. I am talking about gender equality here. Why we are talking about, oh, we are all feminist and we'll do this and that, and we can't stand for half an hour.
No, no. Okay, let me put it this way. You know, because I think that if we're going the other way, if
Huh.
I were moving out of a door, right,
Hmm.
and if I'm with a male friend, forget a female friend. Even if
Hmm.
I'm with a male friend, I'll hold the door for him. That's part
That
of
is,
chivalry, right? So it's not because he can't open the door for himself.
if the chivalry is not gender
These are
wise, then it's okay.
no, no,
But if
no,
it
no,
is
no.
gender
It's not
biased,
on the back. I mean, these are
forget
basic
all
etiquettes. These are basic manners,
these.
and these basic manners. See, I'll tell you. Then again, if I go back to my background of 22 years, 23 years in the army, in
Hmm.
my battalion,
Hmm.
right, we never use abusive language because I'm a Highlander. I've commanded Highland troops, the
Hmm.
Pahadi troops. We don't
Hmm.
abuse them. So I have actually been brought up in an environment where you do not abuse your soldiers.
Hmm.
But again, if you go to a different regiment, where
Hmm.
probably the the boys come from a certain place in the
Hmm.
country,
Hmm.
right? There, if you do not abuse, then
Then,
there's a problem because you
then,
need to abuse them to get them
hmm.
under control.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's got
Hmm.
nothing to do with gender. It's
Correct.
actually got everything to do with the way traditionally those people have been brought up. Does that mean we cannot change that? Of course, we can change that, and things are changing now. The youngsters are changing,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
things change. So ultimately, what point I'm trying to bring out is everything starts at home. Everything starts at home.
Correct.
You teach them. Okay, you cannot treat women like this. And again, it's not about feminism or thinking that the women are weak. It is not.
Hmm.
It is all about just saying you cannot treat them in a certain manner. Period.
Hmm. For example, what I have told my son, that if I hear you have hit anybody, irrespective of the gender, if you have hit anybody, I will kill you. I will disown you. God has given you the gift of words. There is no fight you can not conquer without using the words. And Rohit has suddenly disappeared. Rohit, where are you? Rohit
No,
has gone. Where is Rohit?
no,
Okay.
I need to shift place because I think my battery is dying out.
Okay, so we might lose Rohit in
I
the
have a
process
question.
because his battery is going off. Hello?
Can
Okay,
you hear
Shilpi.
me?
No,
Uh,
Shilpi, you are
Can you?
absolutely robotic right now. Our systems are giving up. It's already 1.5 hours since we are talking, and even the people must be giving up on us. So, in short, we will wrap this up. Shilpi, can you hear me? Rohit has disappeared. Shilpi has frozen. So, it is you and me right now.
right. So
Okay, I
let's
got
wrap
it. Got
it up. It
Shilpi.
was an excellent discussion, and very glad to meet Shilpi and Rohit online. It was amazing catching up with both of you, and
Yeah,
ever.
Rohit is
Hey,
back.
Rohit is back. Rohit, we were just saying that it was amazing catching up with you guys, and of course, the beautiful Priya, who's super dynamic. Thank you for calling me on this
I just
chat.
want to sum this up into in 3 4 points that people have a summary of whatever we have discussed.
Sure.
Firstly, the fight is domestic violence starts from your thought process. The thought process that I am weak, thought process that I can't do anything, thought process that, oh, I am supposed to keep the house together, I am the Lakshmi of the house. Now, from being the Lakshmi, they have to now start taking a stand for themselves. During the lockdown, there are various things they can do. For example, the blockaging, that the eye contact. Never lose the eye contact from the predator. So automatically there is an instinct that will help you stop the man right there. Or next is to give the fear of consequence by using the red dot initiative. Iti's number and email IDs are very much
Already.
in the comment section. If anybody is facing domestic abuse, please call up those numbers. You can call me up also. I will get you attached to Iti. Or if you just need counseling or anything, Iti is also there. I am also there. Please pick up the phone, call. We are all there to support you. And Shilpi is also there. If Shilpi wants to share her number, she can also
Yeah.
leave it on the comment section.
Just wanted to add a few things. Red dot on the palm means domestic violence victim. If you see red dot on palm anywhere, please do reach out to us. Second is that we really need your support because it is a citizen-led initiative to spread the word. Anyone who's watching this and if you like the idea of red dot initiative, please do share it on your social media or in your families, etc. We have got digital posters. We have got posters in different languages. You can reach out to us and let us know how we can support your help. It would be amazing to hear from you in that.
So empowerment here does not mean male bashing. Empowerment does not mean just going on the groups and crying it out. Empowerment means taking action and making sure that what is happening with you is wrong and it doesn't happen going forward. We are not saying break your families. We are not saying go for head for a divorce. No. All we are saying is just empower yourself and learn how to stop your predators. And then they should have that fear of consequence, and we are all there to support you in your journey, where we are there to help you get empowered. So thank you, Iti. Thank you, Shilpi. Thank you, Rohit. It was a fabulous session. We thought we will make it we'll laugh a little, but yeah, it is such a serious topic. I किसी की
Yeah,
हंसी
no.
नहीं निकली. It
Thank
is.
you so much, Priya.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Priya.
you
Thanks
so
a lot.
much.
Thank you, Udit. Thank you,
Lots of
SM.
love to all of
Thanks
you.
to
Thank
the
you
lovely
for
audience
joining.
who's there. Bye bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Bye.